Hi, Joe.
Hi.
Welcome to my podcast. Thank you for being here. This is More Than Matter, where we talk about all things beyond matter, meaning like beyond the physical. We talk about the self, transformation, evolution, mind, mental, body, spiritual growth. Please introduce yourself.
My name is Joe Ruano. 29 years old. I'm from Los Angeles. And thank you so much
Of course.
for having me here on your podcast. And pass the mic back to you.
So, you're here because you have an interesting story that I want everyone to hear. I want you to begin by, I guess, introducing how you grew up,
Okay.
where you grew up, and what you were like growing up, and your family and your friends. Let's start there.
Okay. So, but I was born and raised in South Central LA, and my family are from Guatemala. So my family, they came to this country as immigrants, and they plan to give us a better future settling here. And when we settled in South Central, where it was infested by gang activity, I grew up around drugs, crime, and a lifestyle that led me into getting involved with the gang I became part of. So, I mean, my childhood was pretty much cut short based on that I joined the gang at 10 years old. And I joined a very big, notorious gang that is well known across the nation, across the world. And well, at that time, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And what I want to speak on this podcast about is the transformation, how I went from being part of something so negative and then becoming the person who I am today.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this change happened after a long time of living a hard lifestyle. And when I joined at 10 years old, I started getting really involved, using drugs, committing crime with all of the members that I was associated with. And as I grew up, being a teenager, that's when I started going to the juvenile justice system, juvenile hall at age 13. I was released on probation, on house arrest, violated, went back for several high-risk crimes like robberies, assault on police officers with a deadly weapon, and they ended up sentencing me to juvenile detention camps, placements, and I just kept going in and out until I was 16. When I was 16, I committed a very harsh crime that led me to be tried as an adult and sentenced as an adult. So at age 16, I hit adult court for attempted murder. And this was for the benefit of the gang. And I ended up serving the total of 6 years and 8 months straight, going from the juvenile justice system to a youth authority state prison. And when I turned 18 years old, they sent me to prison. And once I hit prison, they sent me to the highest maximum security level. To the people who have been involved with the criminal justice system, they know what a level 4 yard is. 180. That's pretty much as much as you could get to when it comes to like the maximum security level. And going through all that experience taught me a huge lesson. You know, growing up, all I saw was shootings, a bad life, you know, especially being incarcerated. I saw nothing but misery, you know, abandonment. And that taught me that I was taking life for granted and I wasn't appreciating the family that I had supporting me. So not only that, but I didn't see my opportunities, mostly because I was blinded by the mentality that I had adapted on the streets, you know. So
what was the change? What was it that made you click and you started on your transformation journey?
So I do have pictures of me when I was incarcerated, like at age 16, at age 18, in the system, you know, and as an adult. And you could see that I was living with no direction, you know. And at one point I saw that my family missed me, and they wanted the real person that was in me to come back and be civilized or normal, like you might say. And that was my motivation, my inspiration, having my family there, still having faith and hope that I would change, that I would be able to make it back home. And I guess that's what helped me make all the little steps that I took to become a mature man.
Mm-hmm.
A mature man.
How, if you combine all your sentences together, how long were you in prison for?
That's more than 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
More than 13 years, so like about 14 years maybe. And I'm 29 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's a lot of your life in there. Okay, that means you probably have like a whole life in there, like a whole system, a whole network. Do you have any good friends that are still in?
Yeah, I made a lot of enemies, and I made a lot of friends, homeboys. You know, being incarcerated, you start to spend so much time with people that you grow a friendship with these people, you know. And a lot of them are out here now after serving a lot of time as well. Some of my friends are still doing life in prison. Some of them are gone, resting in peace. and I have some friends that I still have communication with through phone calls.
We're expecting a call today, right?
Correct.
Do you want to talk about who your friend is?
So yeah, I want to talk about my friend from my homeboy from my neighborhood, and he will be calling today. His name is Angel, and he's an older man now, but he's still incarcerated, serving a life sentence, and he has gone through a lot of transformation as well, made a lot of changes. So we're expecting for him to call in like 3 minutes.
Okay. Very excited. How long has he been in?
Well, we'll allow him to introduce himself.
Okay.
And give us answer those questions, give us all the information.
Okay.
On how long he's been incarcerated, and we'll let him take the mic and let him tell us about himself.
That sounds good to me. So, do you have any tips on how to survive prison?
Be observant. Take a lot of notes,
Mentally or literally?
Mentally.
Okay.
Do a lot more hearing and less talking, and you'll pick up a lot of game like that. A lot of game, I mean, like you'll pick up a lot on that. I mean, studying people's body behaviors is one of the things you want to do.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah.
Body language. Okay. So what's one of the hardest things you've gone through while in prison?
One of the hardest things I've gone through was going through the pandemic while incarcerated.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Oh, man.
What was it like in there?
It was almost like living the Resident Evil.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's not funny, but yeah, I mean, people were getting sick left and right. There was no actual medical procedure that was actually effective to help the inmates from getting it, from like surviving it. There wasn't too much assistance to help them. I mean, a lot of inmates were stuck in their cells, suffering through this sickness, and I mean, there was a lot of inmates who died from it. It was not easy just looking outside of your window and seeing man on the ground choking from not having any air in their lungs, or hearing them all night coughing, and also going through the vaccine process was a bad experience, specifically for myself, and I'm pretty sure for a lot of other people. When I was offered my vaccine, I expected to get my second one 2 weeks later, and when I showed up to the medical unit,
unknown caller.
We got a call from Angel.
Yay!
So we're gonna cut that real quick, and we're gonna
put it on pause.
I have a call from Angel, an inmate at the Avenal State Prison, Avenal, California. This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded. To accept this call, say or dial 5 now. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Angel.
Yeah.
Hey, good afternoon. Could you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, this is me, Joe, and Anna right here on the podcast. We're being recorded.
Okay.
Hi, Angel. Good. How are you?
Oh, blessed to be right here with you.
Oh, I'm so excited. Can you give us a little introduction about yourself?
Okay, sure. Well, my name is Angel Avila, and I'm calling from Avenal State Prison. I'm currently serving a sentence of 30 years to life for a crime that I committed back in 1999 of attempted murder. Ever since then, I've been on this journey, right, where it had cost me some struggles, to change, but it finally did, So I really appreciate what God has done in my path, and in my life. So yeah.
What was your journey to transformation? Like what happened to you to finally like see the light,
Well, I mean, sadly, I gotta recognize that there's been two life events that impacted my life, and that was due to my gang activity, right? When I was in Calipat, there was an incident that happened to me due to my gang affiliation, which I was involved in prison politics. In 2017, there was an event. I was a victim of attempted murder, and I was stabbed 32 times and airlifted to outside hospital, to Regional Hospital out there in Palm Springs, I believe. And that was the first event, right, that caused me to have some reflection, because I remember when I went to the hospital, the thing that touched my heart was that there was a lot of like nurses and doctors that really cared for me, right? And that sense of like touch of humanity, it was years that I have felt that way, that love of people that didn't even know me, and they were doing everything in their hands to save my life, So that was one of the things that really touched my heart, So right after that event, a year went by, and as I was working on my recovery, I was sharing a lot of things with my mom, I was sharing a lot of things that I was learning. And a year later, my mom passes away from cancer. So that really broke me, And that's where I always like to share that I didn't know I needed God, and God was the only thing I had, because my mom was my motor. She was everything that I needed to keep on, because she was my strength. And when I lost that, I was really broken and weak. And even though I had a lot of family, not a lot of family reached out. Everybody was dealing with their own things, because my mom was the glue of the family. So it hit a lot of relatives, in a different way. But me in prison, I was by myself, and I felt like truly alone. And it was ever since then that I submitted to the Lord, because
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Because I seen that he, and I felt that he lifted me up, because like I always shared, my mom was a believer and I wasn't. One of the things that right away it made me turn to my mom's faith in Christ was that how was it that she died, and she died being a believer. So I was always curious about her faith, So that's what drove me to seek Christ. And ever since I've done that, I have experienced this peace in my heart, which I had never had it, So ever since then, beautiful things, a lot of miracles have been passing in my path, And I'm a true believer that it's been Him, like putting all the people around me, and guiding me in my path of light now, So those two things are the things that made me and broke me and got me close to develop a relationship with Christ. And that's what got me today being the person that I am today, you know, and I'm really proud of that, you know, because now I can see back and see all the destructive bad and hurt that I lived, but I'm doing something about it, you know. I can go on the opposite direction, and I really enjoy that. I really enjoy being the person that I am now, you know.
I love to hear that.
Hello?
Yes. Keep going.
You hear me?
Yes.
No, one of the things that I always share is that for many years I betrayed myself, right? I chose to seek approval for others. You know, I betrayed myself. Being myself wasn't all right, and that was a big mistake that I made. You know, seeking approval of others. You know, and changing the way I spoke, changing the way I behaved, the way I dressed. You know, just to impress other people and in order for me to have friends. You know. Because, I have shared with Joe, which is a person that I met in prison. I was raised in Mexico, in Ensenada, right? I was born in the United States, but I was raised over there, and I came to the United States when I was 11 to the city of Los Angeles, and there was a change of culture that I actually had a big impact in my life, right? And the language was a big barrier for me, you know, because I was a friendly guy, but I couldn't really socialize with people because the language, even though we did have a lot of persons that spoke Spanish around in the neighborhood, the majority of the people spoke English. So those are the things that impacted me, and I started noticing that the dress code was differently, you know. I was the type of person that will comb my hair to the side and tuck in my shirt, you know, and I would stand out because the dress code over here was different. So right away, I noticed that if I wanted to have friends, I had to change my way of dressing, you know, and even behaving. But that was a poor decision that I made because I wanted to be accepted by the people around me, you know. So it was a bad decision that I made, and still paying. It's a big contributor factor, you know, to how my life direction went.
How do you see the world now versus how you were before?
Well, totally different because now, like I was saying, one of the big things that I have experienced is having peace in my heart, you know. For so many years, I put up on a mask, right, when I was a teenager, that it was a mask of, don't you know who I think I am? And it was a mask that it was just, it brought me, it led me to a lot of problems. But today, living with spirituality and integrity, I'm a person that I hold myself accountable, and I'm responsible, you know, for every action that I take, you know. I try to honor all the people that I have hurt in my past, especially Mr. Flores, which was the person that I committed my life crime, you know. So if there's anything that I could do, I put it in practice. I reach out, I try to help. And one of the first things was changing my life around, you know, getting involved, you know, in mentoring and donating stuff and going to self-help groups, you know, for Spanish speakers. I mean, that's what actually gives me peace in my heart, you know, and it feels good because that was the true identity that I had when I was in Mexico, you know. It's just that I lost that. And now that I'm recovering that, it feels good. You know, that being around people that once they get to see who you are, they treat you the same way, and I love it. It's like, for example,
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
it's for example this phone call that I'm having with you guys, right? I met Joe in Pleasant Valley, and I'm a true believer that God put him in my path, and me and him, we got to talk a lot, but it was him that he actually got to see the type of person that I was, how I would carry myself. And it feels beautiful when somebody actually approaches you and pulls you to the side and tells you, you know what, I really like what you're doing, bro, and I want to do something for you, and it was beautiful that he actually went out there and he did something about it. He offered me his friendship. He gave me support, and he's going out of his way to give me and create a support network for me. So I really appreciate that, and I feel blessed for that.
Well, I love that you're here and that you're talking about all of this and sharing your story. I do have a question. If you could travel back in time to your teenage self, what advice would you give to yourself?
What was what?
If you could go back in time, what advice would you give to your teenage self?
To not to be afraid to seek for help, because that was my big problem. The fact that I had a lot of pride and I hold a lot of things to myself. It was a big problem, because if I would have talked, and even share with family members that I had problems, sharing the way I felt inside, they would have provided me help, But a lot of them, they didn't know the way I felt inside, all the things that I was doing. A lot of them didn't even know that I had a drug problem, because I kept it, I was secretly about it. I never showed that side that I had drug issues, So seeking help was one of the things that if I could go back, that's something that if I would have did it, it would have changed my life direction. But as a believer as well, I can tell you that sadly I had to go through the things that I went through to be the person that I am now. And I'm real confident and I'm really comfortable with that, because I was real stubborn, I am right now looking back and seeing everything that I had experienced. I had come to the conclusion that I had to go through a lot of those things to make me the person that I am now, because I do consider myself strong now in my path, walking in my path, because I know what all those things lead to, and knowing that, I'll be a fool to repeat all that cycle again. But in order for me to keep strong, I still gotta maintain, my close relationship with God, and I know that
You have 60 seconds remaining.
I know that a support network is really important. For those reasons, that's why I'm saying that I really appreciate it for that, for having you guys.
Thank you, Angel.
Support network.
How can we support you? We have 60 seconds left.
What the things you guys are doing now, like I'm on the path of seeking healthy friendship relationships and a support network, where when God willing, when I parole next year, under my board, I can reach out to friends, I can reach out to you guys if I got any type of issue, and you guys can lead me in the right direction. I've been down too long, and I know a lot of things have changed, and I need help.
Thank you.
Thank you, Angel.
But thank you,
Hey,
thank you for your time.
Before it hangs up, we just want to say thank you for joining the podcast, and he's gone.
He'll call again later.
So, I guess I just want to say that the phone call with Angel was over. It's over now, but there's definitely ways to like keep Angel supported, you know.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna be doing what I can, you know, as I'm like whatever I can as his friend. But like as his friend, I also want to mention that there's other ways that he could be supported by whoever is listening. You know, there's letters you could send to him that can support him. You know, he needs an outreach. He needs a network from in there. He's not able to access like a lot of things, a lot of resources. So him going to board is like, it's difficult for them to accept, for him to come back home, like if he doesn't have the resources he needs to adapt back into like a normal society.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I just wanted to throw that out there, and maybe we could throw like his contact information.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, the people send him letters.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
I'll
So,
do that.
I mean, if it's possible, I want to be able to just jump back into what I was speaking about.
COVID-19.
Yeah, the COVID-19.
Go ahead.
the COVID-19
Uh-huh.
in prison. And it was difficult. My experience with the vaccine, like I said, I got my vaccine, and 2 weeks later I was expecting to be called back in to get my like second dose. And when I showed up to the medical unit, they said, "Oh, sorry, but we do not have you under our records that you took your first shot." And the RN told me that the supervisor RN told me that they had just fired some nurses for stealing vaccines.
Wow.
So that had me like worried about what kind of stuff did they shoot in my arm if it wasn't a vaccine. I mean, it seems like they didn't give me one if they didn't put it under the records. They must have stole that vaccine since they didn't even put me on the records. And I mean, they caught a nurse and they fired a nurse for stealing them. So, I mean, there was another part like that I had trouble with, like the medical department, and they're like, it's not just everything about being incarcerated is not pleasant at all. It's harder than what a lot of people think.
Yeah.
But now that's all I had to say about my hardest experience being incarcerated.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. We're gonna take a quick break, sponsor break. My friends over at Leaf Over Beef provided food for us today for this podcast. So I just want to show it on camera. Look how beautiful this thing is. So we have wings. We have, I think it's a brisket. We have mac and cheese and tortillas. And I'm just going to read a little bit about like what they explained. So the soy curls, which is the brisket, is smoked for over 8 hours. The wings, they have sugar cane inside. So it's kind of like a bone. You can like tear it just like a real chicken wing. It's all vegan, by the way. And it's also smoked for 8 hours. And you can find them every Sunday at North Hollywood at the Vegan Exchange. And they also do catering. So just hit them up. Leaf Over Beef. I literally love
Sounds
them.
delicious.
They're so amazing. The man is a genius. Nas, shout out to you. I'm going to have him on the podcast eventually. So good.
All right, let me finish sure.
It's so good, he can't even talk.
That's good.
Yeah, really good. We're also drinking Pick Me Up, which they sponsored us last time. And this is the cucumber watermelon flavor. They're good too. They have a lot of vitamins. They have CBD in here, so we're going to feel very relaxed after this whole drink. But okay.
So
that was a nice break. Go ahead.
Thanks. So to go back to like what I mentioned in the beginning, of my part of talking was that I wanted to talk about my transformation.
Yes.
Going from living a rough life, I pretty much explained a lot about, my incarceration experience, my gang-related experience, background. And I want to talk about what I'm doing today, the person I have become, and my future goals. So I also want to mention the people that I give a lot of thanks to for being a part of my life when it came to like giving me the hand that I needed to better myself. Like the support that you could, like, Angel calls it a support. It's just being there for somebody. And people were there for me through my journey. And a shout out to those people. Want to mention, I want to mention Gerald, Larry, Scott, and my family. These people, even David, Retre, Scott Budnick, Larry Thompson, Gerald Finney. So these are the people that I mentioned, and United LA and the Los Angeles Area Chamber of Commerce for giving me my second chance, my opportunity to work for them and like be an ambassador to them, to the work that they do. They gave me a fair chance when it came to hiring me. Today I'm working as a program assistant for United LA, a nonprofit here in the city. And so it took me a while to get to where I'm at today. But these people that have been involved with my transformation were always there to inspire me and to motivate me and mentor me throughout the way. And having them was important. I never felt alone. And when I needed some help, I was always able to call them and ask them the questions that I needed. So today I'm going to college, community college. I'm a college student now, and I'm working full time for United LA, the nonprofit. I spend a lot of time with my family. I take jiu-jitsu classes, and I'm living a positive lifestyle. I'm not involved with crime, and this is like a 360 flip from the person who I used to be. I didn't expect growing up to be doing what I'm doing today, like even being on this podcast with you and talking about my story, my life experience. It's something that is like surreal to even like think about. It's like most people that knew me growing up, they all expected for me to do life in prison or to end up dead. So no one could have imagined for me to transform my life and to end up pursuing my higher education and working. So this transformation, all these changes came from me maturing, developing a whole new set of my mentality. And my goals for the future are to graduate from school, from college, and to advance in my career. And I don't really have a direction to where I want to end up at yet, but I'm definitely on a good journey now. Spending time with my family, and I just want to give a shout out to those people who were there for me, and especially my family. I'm very grateful for them. They never gave up on me. They were there 100% all the time for me. So it was because of them that I got started on making the change for myself. And so today, like, you know, I'm happy with who I am. And Angel, like, he's been a good person to know too, you know, seeing that he's made a huge change in his life, you know, also gives me like an inspiration.
The similarities that I see in everyone's story, especially in this trio right here, you being an Angel, is that transformation comes during your loneliest time.
Yeah.
The time where you feel the most alone. And there's a difference between lonely and alone. But what I'm referring to is like specifically loneliness that comes from aloneness. That is a new type of feeling that I had, and that's what helped me transform too. You know, it's just unbearable, I guess, you know, that you can't seek something outside of you. The only place you have to go is inside. And that's where every change comes from. The inside.
Yep.
What was your day-to-day life like in there, in prison?
And there was it's like deja vu. You know, exercise, eating the same old plain plastic food. like you know what I mean, like nothing like what we have here in front
Right
of
now,
us, you know. And yeah, just like, actually you're just in a place where you're surrounded by people that you don't know at all, you know. So you're in different sets of rooms, like cells, and there's like strangers basically all around you, and like you don't know where they come from, where they lived at. You don't know them at all, but you're living with them now, you know. And these are the people that you're gonna like have to like spend the rest of your time with 24/7 though. Like you know, so it's just a program to like, what they call it, institutionalize yourself, like to institutionalize you. You know, like the system is just a program to institutionalize individuals and get them programmed to like just to like follow rules, I guess, you know, like not just like follow rules, but I don't see anything productive about the criminal justice system. It doesn't do anything to like support you in growing, you know. I think it does more damage just keeping you in the same place where you're in, mentally, physically, and it brings you down emotionally. So it's almost like it's there for the worst, you know. And that's unfortunate because they put the R at the end of CDC, which stands for rehabilitation. And the rehabilitation takes place when the individual is doing it for self-growth. So the individual has to seek for rehabilitation because the system is not going to like help you do it. So these people that are in there and they have the time to think it out, they make their decision on whether they want to change or not, you know, which is what I did. I sat there and I thought about it and I said, well, it's the only way to do better for my family. And yeah.
That's interesting. It's making me think.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's so many like different parts of the system, you know, like I've been through like pretty much the whole thing inside out, like
Mm-hmm.
from the juvenile system to like the adult system, and now I'm on parole, and just like another face of it, you know.
Do you have any regrets?
Regrets. Yeah, my regret was not educating myself at a younger age and choosing the route to be more gang involved, you know, which led me to a disastrous life experience.
So what advice would you give to others in your position? Not now, but when you were younger, a teenager.
My advice would be, like I tell my nieces and nephews, read books, you know, read as many books as you can, and books will teach you a lot of things, you know, how to educate yourself. And I guess just like stay focused in like your education or like your school, and that should help guide you to like a successful life and a successful future, you know.
Okay. I like that. Read books. Are you reading any books?
Not right now.
Not right now. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Okay. You know what? I'm going to pull out these cards.
Okay.
Because this is a fun portion of the podcast. And you pick whatever card that calls to you, and then we'll talk about it. There's a lot of cards, so go ahead.
This one.
Okay. Read it.
Says, imagine a circle of an infinite piece of paper with a line spiraling endlessly out from it. The circle represents your grief, and the spiral represents your life growing around it. As the spiral grows, the circle appears smaller, but in truth, it never changes size. Spiraling away from grief with distracting experiences can be helpful in doses, but meeting your grief with patience and compassion when it brings you back to its core is hugely important. Grief can be triggered by many things, not just, well, I don't know how to say this word. Bereavement? Yeah, bereavements. Reflect on the losses you have experienced in life. How were you met and seen by your mother and father in grief, sadness, and fear when you were a child? Were you allowed to show feelings and move through them at your own pace? How do you engage with grief and melancholy today? I don't know what that word means.
It means like sadness. Melancholy can be when you feel happy, but then sadness comes into play. But you're still happy, but you have that feel, like a little feeling of sadness. Like it's just a little taste of sadness with the happiness. That's what melancholy is. So you got the grief card. How would you answer these questions?
Which one?
All of them. How were you allowed to show your feelings when you were younger?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
you were allowed to express yourself?
Yeah, I was allowed to express myself, but most of the time came with after I expressed myself, most of the time probably came with an ass whooping. So like if I express myself a little bit too much, I'll get my ass whooped.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what the card is making you think about. as well, you know, because it all stems from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
So there was another question that I liked. Hold on. How were you met and seen by your parents in grief and sadness?
How was I met?
Yeah. What was your relationship with your parents when you were feeling those things?
Well, my mother was very like nurturing, like caring. She was always like caring for my I don't know, she was like my, I say like the safe place to go to when I was feeling certain ways. You know, she would be there for me, and she would kind of like talk to me about it. So I had that with my mom. She was always gave me like a comfortable place to go to when I wasn't feeling well. My dad most of the time was just working, so I didn't have too much to go to my dad with, but
Okay. I want to know like what it is that kind of like you were young at the time when you first joined. You were 10 years old when you joined your gang. What was it that brought you to it or made you make that choice? Was it like friendships? Was it you wanting to be a part of something like a community?
Well, I grew up like on the main streets of the gang activity, you know, and almost all of my neighbors were gang involved with the same neighborhood. And you could literally just stand outside of my house and see the graffiti, and it felt like this was part of what the whole neighborhood was. Like the whole neighborhood was part of this gang because of like the graffiti and all the members walking around, and the kids who were my age, like the friends that I had on the street, in the neighborhood, at school, they were already a part of this gang. So I naturally felt like I was part of it just by being associated. And every time I was involved and around them, I always thought like it was just like gonna be who I was gonna become growing up. So like I was so young that I didn't see the bigger picture of it, like the longer outcome of it. And I didn't even know that I was joining a gang that was far bigger than what I imagined it was. Like I thought I was joining a group that was just part of this street that I lived on. And as I grew up, I found out that I was a part of a worldwide organization. And I was like, whoa, well, I'm already in it. So
what are you allowed to say about your gang?
I'm allowed to say whatever's already known pretty much on the news.
Okay.
What's known by like the common knowledge on the news, by, you know, all the regular, like it's a lot of things that people don't look up. They don't, you know, search. So, I mean, you could look up, you know, the 18th Street Gang on any internet website and learn more about the neighborhood I was part of. And I mean, it's one of the biggest like street gangs.
Do you think they make it a point to recruit at such a young age?
Well, it's kind of like a gang culture thing to do that. because I guess the younger you are, the more invested you're gonna be in it, like you're in your life, you know. And so if you're a young gang member, you're easier to manipulate, and if they want you to be a part of crime, you're easier to manipulate into being part of it. So I guess it takes your adolescence, adolescence, yeah. So you know, they take advantage of that. So I mean,
okay. What is like a quick little interesting story that you can share related to the gang or in prison? Like,
interesting story.
yeah.
Like what?
Anything you find interesting.
I guess, you know, like maybe I don't have a specific story, but like I have a lot of stories that involve with like being like the common day in the neighborhood, you know. Just that you're normal to just being like persecuted by like law enforcement all the time, you know. You're just like seeked after when you're like congregating with your gang, and and like you'll get caught up, and they'll put you on a gang file, like a gang injunction, and like you're being like filed with the gang injunction, which was I was part of, and just they'll pretty much like put you under their record, like, oh, now you're on the radar. Now they like they have a map of where your gang territory is at and where you guys hang out. And
so once you're like in the system, it's easy to just be revolved inside of it or go back into it, right?
Yeah, like the recidivism, right? That's what the word is. Like the recidivism is like the revolving door that goes from people going in and out of being incarcerated. And yeah, that's like pretty much what it is. The system is like designed to get people to like go in and go out, because it's so much like it's easy to get someone to just end up back in jail, you know. I mean that's not the only reason why people keep going back, you know. There's of course there's a lot of fault on the individuals themselves, you know.
Definitely. So now that you're out and you're in the free world, what are some ways the world can support you?
Fine. No. I would say the support would be just, you know, I would like to have like a larger network. So like if you're able to provide like a certain resource to me and you feel like you want to reach out to me and tell me like, hey, we got this available. If you want to be part of this, then I mean, I wouldn't mind volunteering to be a part of some of the work that you're doing. Or if you want to get me involved with, you know, some like if you're doing something interesting and you want me to be a part of it, that's something that like a way you could support me, because now I'm expanding my network, you know.
So, like professional
network and all that.
Okay.
Like I want to stay involved with like proactive things, you know, like staying productive. And
what are some things you can offer?
Some of the things I could offer is like I'm a good person to have like friendship with, you know. So I mean like
yeah, you are supportive, very supportive.
Yeah, I'm a good person to have a friendship with, and I mean, I'm most of the time I'm just being real, you know, being not most of the time, but all the time I'm being real, like being genuine, you know. So
Yeah. By that I mean like by services you can offer, I mean like, you know, you can give a speech about your story, right? Like
Yeah.
if someone is having like a hosting an activism event,
yeah,
you would like to be a part of that.
I've done that before too,
Yeah.
where like I've shared my story
Mhm.
to like assembly members and senators when I been up to like the Capitol to lobby for certain legislations to reform the criminal justice system. And I mean, we got a lot of bills passed when I was involved with the organization called the Anti-Recidivism Coalition. I volunteered a lot for that because I wanted to give back to the community, which is like helping the people that are still in the position that I was in, locked up, you know. So, I mean, I could provide that support.
Yeah. Where can people find you?
People could find me through my email. That's my work email is jruano@unitedla.com, and my personal email is joeruano2@gmail.com.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to add?
No.
No? All right.
I just want to say thank you too for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing. I want to talk to Angel again later. We'll talk. But yeah, again, thank you for being here. And I'll make sure to support you in any way I can.
Thank you.
Yeah.